The magic of Mourinho. Manchester United have flown out of the block, scoring 10 goals and not even conceding yet. But at this early stage, is it too early to get carried away, or are Manchester United the new title favourites and has Mourinho got his big boys on the block? A luxuriating Liverpool side, their attacking lineup has been frightening and they have terrified every Premier League team in their path, winning 2 games and drawing the first game against Watford. And with new transfers on the horizon, are Liverpool truly title contenders, or will their defensive frailties come to fruition? Manchester City, on the other hand, they were title favourites at the start of the campaign and their attacking play so far has been spectacular. But it's all as it seems at Manchester City, staggering over the line against Bournemouth. And are they still the top dogs for the Premier League title? As for Chelsea, they started their title defence in the worst possible way, in ruins, as they lost 3-2 to Burnley at the Bridge. But since then, back-to-back wins, including beating Tottenham Hotspur, and has Antonio Conte put some calmness into Chelsea. And it's Wembley woe once again for Tottenham Hotspur. They have yet to win at Wembley. However, they can build on the promising victory that they got against Newcastle on the opening day of the season. And Wayne Rooney kickstarts his Everton career in the best possible way. And are West Brom the new surprise package of the Premier League season with the transfers that they've got? All of this and much more will be discussed and analysed as we review August in the Premier League. This is my brand new series. Welcome to Living in the Prem. So hello guys, DJ Bagpuss here and welcome to my brand new series, Living in the Prem. Now this is going to be something that we'll be doing at the end of every month, reviewing the Premier League season. You might have seen my series build up to the Prem, where we built up to the opening day of the Premier League season. Now we've had the first 3 match days of the new Premier League season and plenty to ponder and discuss as well. So at the end of every month on my channel, I'm going to be doing an episode of Living in the Prem, where literally we're going to be analysing, reviewing, previewing stuff on the Premier League season, and more importantly, looking back at what has happened in the Premier League during August. Coming up in today's episode, we're going to be talking about these teams. I'm going to put a graphic on screen now, which will tell you when I'm going to be talking about certain teams and the time of when I actually speak about them. So if you want to head to the part of where you want to hear about your favourite team, you can go to that time in the video now. So we're going to be talking about Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, Tottenham Hotspur, where they're going to be talking about Crystal Palace's problems, West Brom, and deadline day as well. And then the last bit we're going to be doing is Bagpuss Bets, which is my new segment where I'm going to be predicting who I think is going to win the Premier League title and who's going to be relegated. And the basis of how I'm actually going to work that out is from what I've seen so far in the Premier League campaign. It'd be interesting as we go down the line with these episodes to see exactly if my title, my champions prediction changes or my relegation changes, depending on what happens in the Premier League as well. Now, the only team not to be discussed in this series is Arsenal, and that is because as an Arsenal fan, I'm going to be doing a separate series on Arsenal, doing match day vlogs and doing all different kinds of stuff like that. This is on my channel. If you want to see my reaction to us getting beaten by Liverpool by 4-0, which we are going to touch in this episode, then I'll leave it down in the description below. But I'm going to be doing a on its own Arsenal piece, something that is completely away from this series. So don't worry about that. If you're an Arsenal fan and you want to hear my views on Arsenal, then stay tuned on my channel because I'm going to have lots of stuff about that. And also, you get involved as well. This isn't just my series, this is your series. As ever, please don't hesitate to leave your comments, questions, or queries down in the comment section below. Follow me on Twitter at DJBagpuss1998. as well. You can also use the hashtag Living In The Prem to tweet me anything that you want regarding the Premier League. The best ones will appear throughout the season. So, without further ado, I think we should get into this episode and start reviewing August in the Premier League. So, we start Living in the Prem by discussing Manchester United, top of the Premier League after 3 games. And yeah, they have been, frankly, quite outstanding, really. In my Premier League predictions, I predicted that Manchester United would go on to win the Premier League. And, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I really don't want them to win it, but if you look at, past success of their manager and what Jose Mourinho does in his second season, it wouldn't be a bad suggestion, a bad prediction to put, because Jose Mourinho just always does it in his second spell. It's just like about that second year. It's kind of, he has the tale of 3 seasons, really. The first season is just his transitional period, his kind of way of getting into kind of the spirit and kind of working out what he likes, what he doesn't like, getting a feel of, the place that he's in, the team that he's managing. And then in season 2, he really gets down and he's basically just a machine. He's absolutely brutal when it comes to season 2, and it's normally season 3 when everything just falls apart and he normally ends up getting the sack. But as for Manchester United, the players that they've brought in has just been outstanding, really. Once again, outstanding is a word that you could use for Manchester United quite a lot. And something that I have found, which I would say Manchester United have done really, really well, is very similar to what Jose Mourinho did at Chelsea in his second spell as manager of Chelsea Football Club. And that was if you remember, in the 13-14 season, Chelsea were in the title race, and it was against the lesser teams that they fell. The reason why they didn't win the Premier League that season is because, against the lesser teams, they would make mistakes, they weren't clinical, they weren't brutal. Against the big teams, they were just brilliant. And Jose Mourinho always has a tactical plan, a masterclass for when he comes up against the big teams. But against the lesser kind of teams, they didn't really, do what they did against the big teams, and it was the mistakes and the flaws they had against the little teams that cost them inevitably the biggest prize. And in the summer of 2014-15, after the season that they finished 3rd, he looked at the spine of the team. He brought in Courtois, he brought in Costa, he brought in Matic, and it was the spine of the team. He also brought in Cesc Fabregas. And at Manchester United, he's done a very similar thing to what he did at Chelsea, which enabled him to win the Premier League. You look at it last season in Manchester United, their biggest flaw was they drew far too many games. If you take all of the games that they drew on, I think they drew 11 or 12. I'll put up the exact number of games that they drew last season on screen. But, the amount of games that they drew last season, if they had turned those draws into wins, they would have been fighting with Chelsea and Spurs for the Premier League title last season. And I think Jose Mourinho recognised that. And the spine of the team is what he's got on. I mean, he's brought in Romelu Lukaku, who I said would be the best Premier League transfer of the season. He's big, he's aggressive, he's quick, he sounds athletic. He's really, really, he's the type of striker that Manchester United have been crying out for, I think, since Robin van Persie, Tevez, that type of player that could get you 20, 25 goals. And United haven't had that for many, many years. Well, I'd say probably the last 5 years since they won the league back in 2012-13. They've not really had that. He's brought in Emmanuel Matic, which again, I can't really understand. I can't fabricate why Chelsea got rid of Matic. And if you do get rid of Matic, send him to a rival. And the fact that they've, don't send him to a rival. And the fact that they've sent him to a rival it's just bizarre, really. It's very, very strange, particularly if Manchester United go on to win the Premier League instead of Chelsea. And Matic is one of the main reasons why they do it. But they have needed a Matic player, and I think Matic is probably one of the best in his position in the Premier League doing that role. And the 2 best players in the Premier League last season, Matic and Kante, and Chelsea shipped out one of them. They've got Bakayoko in, so I can kind of understand to a certain extent why they've actually done that. But it does baffle me, really, particularly when you kind of get rid of, Emmanuel Matic, and, Chelsea are like, oh, I'm going to offload him, I'm not going to send him overseas, I'm going to give him to a direct rival. I bet Jose Mourinho was laughing at that. But he is, he protects that back four, his passing, his range of passing, his vision of passing is just immaculate. And he strengthened their defence with Lindelof, although at the minute he's using Jones and Bailly, who have been absolutely incredible. So Lindelof's really not had his time to shine, but I think he will come good. And they've brought back Ibrahimovic, which some people think is a very strange thing to do because you're not going to play Lukaku and Ibrahimovic up front. But I can totally see why Jose Mourinho has done this because, in January when games come thick and fast and, you've got lots of games and maybe Lukaku gets injured or something, you need like another big top quality player to step into his shadow, and Ibrahimovic is that kind of player. And people say Ibrahimovic is not the type of player that's going to be sitting on the bench and be that sporadic player, but I kind of think that he will do that, and I think he will come good. Last season he was probably Manchester United's best player, so I do think that United now have got the spine of the team on point, and they look ruthless. They look a completely different kettle of fish to what they were last season. You look at the first 3 games, they beat West Ham comfortably by 4-0. They beat Swansea away from home by 4-0. And they dispatched Leicester by 2-0. And it could have been many, many more, if we're being totally honest. And lots of people are saying that at this early stage, they haven't played a big team. And even Jose Mourinho said this week that, he will find it interesting to see what happens when the team are losing and how they respond. Because at the minute, it's been very, very easy for them. And I look at Manchester United right now, and granted, I agree with that point. They've played some, not particularly great teams, and it is very early days. But when you look at them right now, they look like the Manchester United of old, who would, destroy teams, wipe them away quickly, and they look quicker. For one, they look absolutely so much quicker. They've got Martial, Rashford, who will just accelerate and pace. And the way that they break and how they counter so quickly this season is something that we're very rarely, come to see from Jose Mourinho's Manchester United. And if you look back at the first season, they didn't have pace in the team. They were too slow, they were too sluggish. And you probably get that with Ibrahimovic because, he is a pacey striker. He's more of an aerial threat and, someone that creates space for himself and then just shoots and damages and destroys people that way. But I think when you look at kind of what they've got now, Lukaku is quick, he's strong, and then he's got Mkhitaryan, who just looks even quicker than I've ever seen Mkhitaryan, Martial, Rashford. They've got sheer pace up front, and they've got power in Romelu Lukaku, and they've got Matic protecting behind. And now, because you've got Matic protecting that back 4, it's allowed Pogba to venture it into kind of that number 10 role. He partners with Matic, but when one goes forward, one goes back, what we saw at Chelsea. And that has meant now that, Manchester United have just, they've got it. They've got Pogba pulling the strings, in midfield, Matic being, the protector, and they've got pace and power going forward. And it will be interesting to see how they come up against a big team, but Mourinho's masterclass, combined the fact if he can keep, just destroying these, lesser teams that they come up against, they are going to be a force, and they are going to be absolutely just insane, really, from start to finish. They're going to be absolutely terrified to play, and they've set the benchmark early, and they look good, they look good, they look strong, and I'd say my prediction is looking quite stable. So the next 3 fixtures, they've got Stoke away, Everton at home, and Southampton away. So I'm going to predict these next 3 fixtures. And Stoke away is the game they have after the international break. And I think now they're going to concede in their next 2 games. I kind of do. Stoke have got something about them at the minute. Their attacking play at the minute is quite promising. And, Stoke can score goals, particularly at the Britannia. They can make it. Or is it Britannia or Bet365? I'm not too sure, but I'm pretty sure, whatever their stadium's called nowadays, they will get a goal or 2. Mark Hughes is very organised, very drilled. So I would say that, I'd say Stoke will score, but I think, again, Manchester United's attacking threat is going to be too much, and I'm going to go 3-1 for that one. Then they've got Everton at home, and this is a slightly different kettle of fish, really. When you look at Everton, they've got something about them at the minute, and Ronald Koeman is an exceptional manager. So I think that's going to be a very, very tight affair. And I think Manchester United will just edge it, 2-1, particularly at Old Trafford. They've got a decent record against Everton and a very good record at Old Trafford. But I think Everton will make it difficult for them and make it tough, really. And again, I think Everton will score, but I think Manchester United will just have a bit too much for them. And finally, you've got Southampton, who, they're away from home at St Mary's, but I haven't seen much of Southampton at the minute that convinces me that I feel like Manchester United will just do what they did to West Ham and to Swansea, where they will just, it'll be an easy day at the office, it'll be a professional job, but they will just walk away and, they will do, I think, quite well. So, yeah, a 3-0 comfortable away win for Manchester United and 3 more wins, which means that I think they're going to end September with 18 points, 6 wins out of 6. And yeah, they're going to be in quite good stead for the time being. Now on to the champions Chelsea, who sit 6th in the Premier League table, have lost 1 game and won 2. And yeah, Chelsea for me, they started the season in quite a disarray, if I'm being frank, to be fair. They lost the Community Shield to Arsenal on penalties, and there was a lot of negativity at Stamford Bridge, and it always seems to be a recurring theme after winning the Premier League title with Chelsea, that the season after they have problems. And we saw it a couple of seasons ago with Jose Mourinho. He had just a mountain of problems. He lost the dressing room, and inevitably that wait for him to be sacked by Chelsea Football Club in December. But Antonio Conte, it's looked like for a large portion of the summer that he was unhappy because it felt like he wasn't getting the backing from the owners, from Roman Abramovich, and he wasn't getting in the players that he wanted, really, and it wasn't looking like he was actually going to get them. And he's had the whole business with Diego Costa, and personally Costa should just, it's a mess really. He wants to go back to Atletico Madrid, but the one club he wants to go back to, he can't go till January. So I think Costa really should man up and just, go back to Chelsea and just stick it out till January, or go on a loan move. I saw somewhere today that Everton, Ronald Koeman said that he would love to have Costa on loan, but a player who is going to cause you problems like Costa does, why would Atletico actually want to get him with a player that it causes them problems? And Atletico Madrid sold Costa in the first place to Chelsea, so it's a strange one. But Chelsea brought in Morata, Bakayoko, Rudiger. They got Caballero, or Willie as we should say, from Manchester City. They got in Boga as well. So they have bought players, and I'm not being funny. I didn't think a lot of Morata when he signed. I've always thought he was a player that just is overhyped and isn't really as good as people think. He went to Real Madrid but never really got in a shout, and that was because he was shadowed by Ronaldo, Bale and Benzema, but I've never ever really thought, that much of him. But from what I've seen so far in, the Premier League, in his first 3 games, he's been brilliant. I mean, he scored against Everton, he scored against Burnley, he could have easily got himself a goal against Tottenham Hotspur early on. He missed the chance, ball came in, and the header, he just went the wrong side of the goal. So he's actually been very, very good for the Blues so far. And yeah, I mean, first game of the season, it was just the worst possible start. Burnley came with a game plan. Chelsea went down to 9 men. Cahill gets sent off. Fabregas then gets sent off. And, they're 3-0 down inside 40 minutes. And you're sitting there like, ooh, what's going on? What the hell is going on? Why, what's happening with Chelsea? And Morata comes on, does really well. David Luiz with the second goal from a header. And the day ended with a lot of people saying Chelsea are in crisis and Antonio Conte is going to be the first manager to be sacked. And there was pressure on Chelsea even at this early stage in football. It's one of those games which is it's brutal. It's about the here and now. You could win one game one week and be on top of the world, and then lose the next game and lose it badly, and everyone is demanding that you were going to be sacked. But credit to Chelsea and what we haven't seen in recent years, after winning the title and during the title defence, where, with Jose Mourinho, they drew to Swansea, then they got beat by Manchester City, and it just snowballed and snowballed. Antonio Conte seems to have put a bit more calmness into Chelsea. I mean, the game against Tottenham Hotspur at Wembley was a huge game, really. You thought if Chelsea had lost that, and it all goes down to the manner of how they would have lost that game. If they had got battered by Tottenham Hotspur, you would have seen a lot more pressure really on Antonio Conte and Chelsea. But credit to them, they took the lead, and it was a great goal from Marcus Alonso. He had absolute blistering game of football from the free kick that he scored, and then Batshuayi, who looks set to be leaving, to be fair. And I don't quite understand it, because Batshuayi, they paid £30 million for him. He's actually a good striker, but he's not been given the opportunity by Antonio Conte. And Conte just simply must not rate him, despite him scoring the title-winning goal against West Brom last season to give Chelsea the Premier League title. But, against Spurs, Marcus Alonso again showing what he can do. Lloris really should have saved Spurs' second goal. And against Everton, it was a comfortable day at the office for Chelsea. Really, that they did the job well. It was a professional job, and it looks like they turned around. From what was a bad start, and have come back well, really. But I think the problem with Chelsea is that because they're so ruthless, and because they don't accept second best, second best to them is failure, and if you don't perform, you're sacked. And it's a mentality that many people have questioned. Many people don't like managers being sacked so quickly, and some people argue that there's no loyalty at Chelsea. But when you look back to the amount of titles that they've won and how many trophies that they've won over the last 10 years since Roman Abramovich has arrived, you have to argue that the proof's in the pudding, really, if we're being totally honest. Yes, they get through managers, probably quicker than Arsenal lose games in a Premier League campaign. But, they win trophies, and they consistently win trophies, and that is on Chelsea's part, and Antonio Conte, and last season, and Roman Abramovich. That is something that is quite exceptional, really, when you take into consideration all of the things that Chelsea are labelled, all the bad things that you associate with Chelsea, all of the good things they've done in winning trophies. And they've done that consistently over the last kind of decade, 10, 12 years. So, they're in good stead. What's going to be really interesting is when the Champions League starts. They've got Atletico Madrid in their Champions League group, and they should probably get first or second. I expect them to get second easily, win the group. I'm not so sure. I think Atletico Madrid will win the group that they're in, but it'd be interesting to see how Antonio Conte handles with Champions League football on the Wednesday, and then playing the Premier League again on the Saturday, plus the cup competitions that are coming into fruition again. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fares up with all of this. And I look at Chelsea, and that is something that is really going to put Conte to the test, because last season all he had is the Premier League. He had an occasional FA Cup game as he got to the final, and he had the EFL Cup, but he was knocked out of that quite early, to be fair. So this season he's going to have a multitude of competitions left, right and centre. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they can handle the pressure of the Champions League, and how can they adapt to it in the Premier League. But in terms of title chances, really, they're in with a shout, really. I think, they're really going to try and get into the top four is their main priority, because I think they will give the Champions League a good go. And I said in my Premier League season review of last season that I think Chelsea could win the Champions League, and I think that they're going to put a lot of emphasis into that competition. So it will be interesting to see, but right now they're certainly up there for the Premier League title, and they've got another day to go. This is going up the day of transfer deadline day, so it'll be interesting to see what players come into the squad. It looked like they were going to get Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he's now gone to Liverpool, so they're missing out on him. So it'll be interesting to see who they're going to get. I mean, they've been linked with so many players this in this transfer window, so it will be interesting to see where or what players come in, if any players are going to leave the business with Diego Costa, and how they fare in the Champions League. And it's all very exciting questions that are going to have very exciting answers in the weeks to come. Now, Chelsea's next three fixtures, they've got Leicester away, Arsenal at home, and Stoke away. So first and foremost, Leicester away, I don't think they're going to have any problems. I do think Leicester will score, but I think, again, Chelsea will have too much go forward. I think Morata will bag himself a couple of goals. And, I think 3-1 is probably a decent prediction for Chelsea against Leicester. And, I'm pretty safe to assume that they will win that comfortably. Now, Arsenal at home is a interesting game, shall we say. It will all depend on how Arsenal does. And right now, if I look at that fixture, I can't see us winning. It's at Stamford Bridge. We've got a horrendous record against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. The last time we won there was 5-3 in 2011. So I think Chelsea probably will edge that by 2 goals to 1. But I mean, if we don't sort ourselves out and our defensive frailties, and if we don't get some players in, then that could be another like 4 or 5 easily. Chelsea could roll us over. But against Antonio Conte, we've got a decent record against them. You know, we've won 3, lost 1. So in the Premier League, we've won 1, lost 1, and obviously in the FA Cup and Community Shield, we've won both of those. So we've got a decent record against Antonio Conte's Chelsea. In the Premier League, it's a completely different story. And then Stoke away. Now, I keep saying Stoke have got something about them at the minute, and I'm not wrong with that. I generally feel like they will cause Chelsea problems. And I think for this game, I think Stoke will get a draw out of the champions here. They're going to be fresh. I think they've got a Champions League game before Arsenal and then the EFL Cup game straight away after Arsenal. So they're going to be pretty exhausted when it comes to this game. And Stoke will cause them problems, particularly if Stoke have a rest while Chelsea play kind of 3 games in the space of like 10, 11 days. I can see a draw on that one, which I don't think will be necessarily a bad result for Chelsea. And I think if one team is probably going to nick that, it probably will be Chelsea. But I think Stoke have got a really decent chance. If it was at Stamford Bridge, I'd say no way. But at the Britannia, I would say, I'd say 1-1 in that game. And that will take Chelsea quite nicely on to 12 points take them on to 13 points, out of a possible 18. And they would have dropped 5 points after 6 games. So that's Chelsea. And I spoke about Oxlade-Chamberlain basically on the verge of signing for the Blues and then moving to Liverpool. And now it's time to discuss Liverpool. Now, Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. Now let's just say, and this is going to hurt to say, but Liverpool have been very, very decent. The potential that they've got this season is looking strong, just like they did last season. But this season, something feels quite good. There's a good smell in the air if you're a Liverpool fan, as every Liverpool fan keeps reminding me over these last 72 hours. So thanks for that. But yeah, they're looking strong, and their attacking lineup and their attacking play is it's quite sexy. If we're being perfectly honest, they blitz teams against Arsenal. And in my rant video, I spoke about Arsenal so much in a negative way. I didn't really speak about how well Liverpool were, just that I gave praise of the way that they play. But Liverpool, I mean, they just blow teams away. And like the first 20, 25 minutes at Anfield is just absolutely crazy, because you could be 3-4-0 down like that. I mean, you know, they are just absolutely sensational. Against Hoffenheim in the Champions League, you know, once again we saw Liverpool absolutely just blitz them at home in kind of the first 20, 25 minutes. And they've got that about them. The main problem has been something that was the reason why they didn't win the league in 2013-14 under Brendan Rodgers. That is defensively, that they are at times useless, if we're being perfectly honest. It's been a recurring theme. It was under Brendan Rodgers they had that, and under Jurgen Klopp, these defensive problems still have, you know, come to fruition for a number of years now. Now, you could argue that if you could score more goals than you let in goals, you'll still win the title that way. But we saw it in 2013-14. You don't win the Premier League conceding 40, 50 goals, which Liverpool have done over the last few years. They conceded 50 goals in 2013-14, and they've been conceding roughly between 40 and 50 goals, you know, for the last couple of seasons. And you're never ever going to win the Premier League conceding that many goals, really, unless you score kind of 5 times the amount of goals that you concede. You know, it's very, very rare. You normally find title-winning teams know how to defend, and that, you know, they can blitz teams, but they also can win ugly and get the job done and be ruthless in doing so. And Liverpool really haven't had that. Now they've really homed in on their attacking quality. They've already got the likes of Mane, Firmino, Coutinho, which we'll get on to Coutinho in just a second, but they brought in Mohamed Salah, and for one reason or another, it just didn't work at Chelsea. It's working at Liverpool, shall we say. He looks quick, he looks ruthless, and he fits like the meta of a Jurgen Klopp like team so well. I mean, against Arsenal, when Bellerin was trying to be all acrobatic and think he's doing a ballet by trying to hit it up and over with his touch. And Salah literally, I think he got from the corner to scoring in like 30 seconds or just under 30 seconds. The pace he has is electrifying. I was about to say, it's Greece lightning, but I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to cut that out right now. But yeah, I mean, Liverpool defensively have been just absolutely woeful. They brought in Solanke up top as well from Chelsea, a great promising talent, got lots of potential. Robertson at left back, they needed a left back, and he does look good from what I've seen so far. I mean, first game of the season against Watford, defensively, they were shocking. I mean, go forward, they look great, but it was their defence that just absolutely ripped them to pieces. Credit to Marco Silva. But yeah, Liverpool were absolutely shocking on the opening day. But against Crystal Palace, we saw a different Liverpool performance, one that kind of kept knocking at the door, and it took them ages, but finally they opened it, and then they were holding on to what they had. But in truth, Crystal Palace didn't really have anything about them in that game. But they literally just got over the edge is what you need. But I think the best performance we've seen, and probably the best performance I've seen from Liverpool for a number of years. I think the last time I saw a good performance at Liverpool was when we played them in 2013-14 and got beat 5-1. And on Sunday we got beat 4-0. So good job, lads. The two best Liverpool performances ever have both come against us. So a job well done. But they were outstanding, attacking wise. The pace, the penetration, pressing the high line. They are just exceptional. And potential transfers is something for Liverpool. It's very, very exciting. They've got Naby Keita. They've been hustling all summer to try and get him. We've had 50 million here, 60 million there. And they finally agreed to do it. They're not going to get him till next season. But it looks like at the time we're recording this, which is 30th of August 2017, by the time you see this tomorrow, Oxlade-Chamberlain should be a Liverpool player. He's left Arsenal. It looked like a £30 million deal was negotiated between us and Chelsea. And then Liverpool came in. Oxlade-Chamberlain rejected Chelsea's offer because he wanted to play at Liverpool because they play him in his natural position. Now, Oxlade-Chamberlain doesn't have a position to start with. He has a position that he prefers. But, his preference is probably as good as you or I. He's played centre forward, left forward, right wing back, centre midfield. And I mean, last season he played in the centre of midfield for Arsenal, and he looked decent. He did look decent in the games, but he's been the type of player that has been riddled with injury, has been mediocre at best at times, and has had 2 really good seasons. But he just, I'm annoyed because, he's leaving Arsenal and he doesn't think we're competitive anymore, and he would be right there. But I don't know how he would fare at Liverpool. It'd be interesting, Liverpool fans, to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below how you think Oxlade-Chamberlain is going to fare at Liverpool. It looks like he's going to join Liverpool. I'll be shocked if he doesn't, or I'll just look like an absolute mug if we get to September the 1st and he's still at Arsenal. But yeah, I think Ox will do well, and it'd be interesting to see whether Jurgen Klopp plays in that position when you've got loads of players on form right now. Henderson, Chad, Adam Lallana's out injured, so when he comes back, he loves to play that pocket. So it'll be interesting to see if actually Oxlade-Chamberlain gets into the team. But the transfers that they've got going, it looks also like they're the favourites to sign Virgil van Dijk. They've been hustling again all summer to try and get him. So if they can get him, brilliant. If they've got Oxlade-Chamberlain, Salah, Keita next year, if they don't win the Premier League title this year, they've got a great chance of doing it next season. If they can get Van Dijk, their defence will be so much more solid and secure. And they will have a good chance of winning their first Premier League title and getting their 20th title in all. I think they've won 18 or 19, so it would be their 90th or 20th. They are second behind Manchester United. So it will be very, very interesting to see how Liverpool do attacking. Going forward, they will have no problems. They will score an abundance of goals, a shed load of goals. So it'd be interesting to see that. If defensively they can get Van Dijk in, they've got a great chance of securing the Premier League title. I would be very optimistic if I was a Liverpool fan. So their next 3 fixtures, they have got Manchester City, away. They've got Burnley at home, and they've got Leicester away. Now, Manchester City is a big one. You know, they've done it against Arsenal, an Arsenal team that was in absolute chaos, was in ruins, was just the despair of Arsenal. Liverpool took full advantage of. So it will be interesting to see how they fare against the Manchester City side, who also have cracks in their side right now. But I'm going to back Liverpool. I think there will be lots of goals. I think both teams are going to boister their attack. But I can see Liverpool getting a 3-2 win here at the Etihad. It's a controversial one. Many people will probably go for a draw there, or some people think City are going to just edge it. But I fancy Liverpool. I think Liverpool, with the attacking power that they've got, and, you know, they will concede goals, you know, unless they just blow away City. But it's away from home. It's a different story. You know, when you go to Anfield, you've got the lights, you've got the atmosphere. You know, it's a completely different kettle of fish. But at the Etihad, I sense that Liverpool could get something out of the game. So I'll go 3-2 on that one. Burnley at home, I think, is a banker. 3-0 still, mate. It's going to be an easy ride, comfortable, lots of goals, keep the clean sheet. And then they got Leicester away. And Leicester have had a tough start to the season. They played Arsenal. They've got Manchester, well, they've already played Manchester United, and they've got Chelsea and Liverpool to come as well. And I think, even though they might get themselves a goal or two, I think that they will fall to a 3-1 defeat. Again, it's very much like Manchester United and like Chelsea, that, you know, their attacking play is so vast that against the Leicester teams, they might get 1 or 2 goals their opposition, but Liverpool will just blow them away during the attack. And that will see Liverpool go on to 16 points. Will go on to 16 points. Means that they have won 5 games, drawing only 1. 16 out of 18 will see them right at the top of the Premier League table. Whether they're going to be there in May is a completely different story. Now, let's get on to Manchester City, who are currently 4th in the Premier League and are unbeaten so far. Now, Manchester City at the start of the Premier League campaign were tipped to win the Premier League outright, and I mean, you can't really blame them. Bernardo Silva, Edison, Walker, Danilo, Mendy, the list goes on and on and on. And Pep Guardiola has got a huge reputation now. Second season in England. Last year, I mean, Manchester City started brilliantly, winning 5 on the spin, and they looked unstoppable. People were like going on about how they could be the new Invincibles or something, you know, kind of sprouting rubbish. But it's easy to get carried away in the early stages, just like people are with Manchester United right now, myself included. But when I look at Manchester City last season, defensively, they were just shocking. And I think Pep Guardiola was still experimenting and finding it, you know, his way and putting his feet under the table for his second campaign. And, you know, he's addressed the defence. I mean, he's bought, I think, like 3-4 right backs, which is a little bit confusing. But going forward, City have probably got the best attack in the Premier League. You know, De Bruyne, Aguero, Silva, you know, a Sterling who could be on his way out, but he's bagged himself a couple of goals so far. Sané, you know, now they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Walker at right back, you know, and, you know, they've got Otamendi, Company, Stone. So, you know, they've got a decent defence now, a stable midfield, and an absolutely awesome attack going forward, really. But again, something about Manchester City over these first 3 games that I've spotted is that I don't think they're as good as what people were anticipating. Now, I know it's very early days and, you know, they could kind of win their next kind of 20 games on the spin and end up winning the league and do something like Chelsea did last season. But, I mean, they started the season beating Brighton comfortably with 2 goals still. We all kind of expected them to beat Brighton, if we're being, you know, perfectly honest. I would love Brighton. I was rooting Brighton to cause an upset, and in fact they had a couple of decent chances. They were in the game for large parts, so they did themselves a huge credit. But, you know, City in the end kind of got the better of Brighton and got the 2 goals, and it was, I would say, it was a comfortable, you know, it was a comfortable performance in the end for them. Against Everton, who have been a surprise package for me so far, a 1-1 draw. Everton took the lead, and City looked a little bit lacklustre and a little bit kind of just like last season, just go with the flow, kind of seeing how the game patterns out, and, you know, maybe we'll get something from it, maybe we won't, you know. And then against Bournemouth, they staggered over the line. It was an absolutely sensational goal that Bournemouth scored to get their first one, and City pegged them back. and you could argue in the 97th minute, you know, it was slightly unlucky for Bournemouth to not maybe get a draw out of the game, but Sterling kind of runs in and chips it up and gets the goal. And this is another thing that really annoys me right now. This is going to be a little bit of a rant right now. In what world do you get a second yellow card for celebrating the winning goal to earn your team 3 points in a Premier League game? It is absolutely pathetic. It's a stupid law, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. Like Sterling's first one, the yellow card that he got, I understand it. It was a terrible challenge. It was a deserved yellow card, really. But the second one, like, it's the 97th minute. You know, what do you expect to do? I've scored the winning goal. It's all right. You know, hi mum, hi dad. No, you're gonna go off your blatant nut, aren't you? Really, if you scored the goal, like the winning goal, really. And it's just stupid. In what world do you get sent off for celebrating, showing a bit of passion, a bit of fight? And it's like, our referees trying to punish players for having that passion and fight in them. Like, seriously, I mean, what is going on now? I understand if, you know, the rules, you know, the law's a law, a rule's a rule, you know, and if you break the rules, you're going to get punished for it. Like, I get that 100%, but cut a little bit of slack on Sterling, really. I mean, he did run into the crowd, and maybe it was the manner of how he celebrated. Like, I get both sides of the argument, but I just think it's absolutely stupid. It's the 97th minute. You send Sterling off. He's going to miss the next 2 games. Was there even any need? Was there any point? No, it was just absolutely stupid. But their attacking power is sumptuous, but there are cracks in the team, and their title chances will all hinge on whether these defensive problems, these little cracks, begin to spill over just like they did last season, which will cost them the Premier League title. And I mean, if Pep Guardiola doesn't win anything this season, then I think he's been a massive failure at Manchester City. You know, he came to Manchester City to be an instant success, to bring them success, not only to them to be Premier League champions once again, but to be absolutely amazing in the Champions League. And they got knocked out in the round of 16 by Monaco last season, and you know, it was a problem. I mean, we can't say anything when you come to Arsenal with Bayern Munich, but they got, you know, knocked out by Monaco. Absolutely sensational game. You know, they finished third in the Premier League, didn't they? Yeah, they finished third in the Premier League last season. And this season, if they don't win anything, you know, they got to the semi-final of the FA Cup. But if they don't win a cup, or if they don't progress further than around the 16 in the Champions League, if they don't win the Premier League title, then I think Pep Guardiola has been a massive failure. So this is an absolutely vital season for for Pep Guardiola. He's got to do something, and he's got to win a trophy. No matter what trophy that is, he's got to win a trophy. The other big important thing I'm going to come to both Coutinho and the man that I'm about to say, as we briefly touched on deadline day at the end of Living in the Prem. But Alexis Sanchez, if they get Alexis Sanchez, they will be in cruise control for the Premier League title. You put Sanchez into the equation of De Bruyne, Aguero, Sané. I don't even know where Sanchez will play, really. I think he'll probably go down the left. Aguero through the middle. Although he plays at Gabriel Jesus, we're completely forgetting how great Gabriel Jesus has been for Manchester City. So it'd be interesting to see whether, you know, where Alexis goes. Personally, I don't think he's going to go, but we'll touch on that at the end of the video. But if they can get Alexis Sanchez in the next 24 hours, then they will certainly be ready for the Premier League. And I would be shocked if they don't win the Premier League title if they can add Alexis Sanchez to their basket. And at the minute, I think it's between Manchester City and Manchester United and Liverpool, personally, with Chelsea just in behind them. But City, it's not always it seems at the Etihad, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if more cracks begin to surface, really. Now, their next 3 fixtures are Liverpool at home, Watford away, and Palace at home. And I said, excuse me, I said that I've got a really bad cough. I'm trying to record this like podcast. I've just got a cough. What is going on, man? Apologies. But yeah, I said Liverpool would beat them by 3-2 at the Etihad, and I stand by that. I think Liverpool will do that. So I think Man City will fall to a defeat after the international break. They've then got Watford away and Crystal Palace at home. Watford away, 4-0, easy game. Home bangers, City will just run right against them. And Palace, Frank de Boer don't really know what he's doing, and I think it won't be a boring game, shall we say. But you know, Manchester City will comfortably get past Crystal Palace by 3 goals still. And with that, they will be going on to 12. They will be going on to 13 points out of 18, losing 1 and drawing 1 in the process, which will make them, I mean, they will be up there with Liverpool, Chelsea, United after 6 games. But yeah, defeat to Liverpool and 2 comfortable victories against Watford and Crystal Palace. Now it's time to move on to my favourite club in the world. It's time to talk Tottenham. Oh, Spurs. I mean, let's be honest. You know, they really should have won the Premier League title in the last 2 years. It's quite funny how, like, you know, Chelsea ended Spurs' dreams in tatters. You know, Tottenham in tatters, shall we say, by handing the Premier League title over to Leicester City. And last season, Spurs really could have catched up with Chelsea until the Hammers, come on you Hammers, ended their title hopes, and they whistled away into nothing, as we come to often see from Tottenham Hotspur. But this season, despite how great they have been over the last 2 years, which pains me to say, they have been absolutely superb. I mean, they finished above us for the first time in like 20 years, and everyone thought that they were the new bosses in North London. Right now, they're better than us, and they have been for the last 2 seasons, but Arsenal will still be the better club in North London, if we're being totally honest with them. But this season, there's a lot of things that are not making people scream and shout over Tottenham Hotspur. You know, there's 2 major things that are against them at the minute. Firstly, they've not brought in any like top draw players. You know, they brought in Foy and just youngsters really. You know, they've not brought in a player that is going to make Spurs fans scream and shout and you know, turn it all around really. You know, like a big player like a Lukaku, like a Morata. You know, even like a Lacazette for us. You know, even though things have not gone according to plan, when we signed him, we were absolutely ecstatic. Liverpool with Salah. You know, even Everton with Wayne Rooney. You know, Spurs have not had that player yet that is kind of absolutely just blown everyone away, and people are like, oh, I'm scared to face him in the Premier League when we come up against them. They're currently 9th in the Premier League table. They started their season with a 2-0 win over Newcastle United. It was a game which, it was quite even actually. It was a 50-50 game in the first kind of 45 minutes, 60 minutes. And then John Joe Shelby, thinking that he's an absolute baller, actually becomes quite a bit of a big mug, really. You know, just stamps on Dele Alli. I don't know what he was doing. Absolute idiot. Absolute shambles of a man, really. I get sent off to do it, like, immediately from the referee. I don't know what he was thinking. Did he think he was going to get a party, some balloons for stabbing on Dele Alli? And I mean, they were wrestling each other all game, but like, it was that boiling point with John Joe was like, I'm having some of you. You know, so, yeah, I kind of thought, yeah, this is... you know, yeah, from the red card and from Jojo Shelby getting sent off, Dele Alli pops in and scores, and you know, Spurs comfortably win by 2-0 at the end of that, and it was a good performance. It kind of, the game turned once the red card had ensued, and Tottenham just took control from there and got their first away win of the season. But since then, it's not been great. Wembley woe, shall we say. And this is something that I said in my Premier League predictions for this season. I said that Spurs will probably finish 5th. I think I said 5th or 6th. It was a toss-up between us and Tottenham Hotspur. But yeah, there's something about Wembley. I mean, they've won 2 games out of 11 at Wembley. They've lost 8 and they've drawn 3. And that's their new home for this season. And if you think back to White Hart Lane, they had the entire season unbeaten, and it just, I mean, they drew a few games at White Hart Lane, but they won predominantly most of their games at home. And you look at them now, they have lost and drawn in their first 2 games at Wembley. And I mean, against Chelsea, it was a big game. Chelsea started really, really well, and then Tottenham kind of came into it. You thought Tottenham were going to go ahead, and then Marcus Alonso, you know, snaps up, and Chelsea end up winning the game. Tottenham get a bit of fortune through Batshuayi, but that isn't necessarily a huge problem. It's not a really bad thing. I think lots of people weren't really too upset and angry at Spurs for that, but it was against Burnley where they were 1-0 up. Dele Alli got the goal, and it just, you know, Burnley, I've got something about them as well this season in their opening 3 games, and, you know, snatched a very, very late equaliser. And you're looking at Spurs, you're like, where's the strength? Where's the power? I mean, they've only lost Kyle Walker. Trippier's injured currently. So you could argue that down the right hand side they're a little bit jaded, but they look weak, they look shaky, they look lethargic. There's no power, there's no presence, there's none of that attacking quality. There's nothing, there's no ruthlessness running through Spurs at the minute, and it is only 3 games, but it's like Wembley has this psychological edge over them, but they just can't seem to shake. And if they can't shake that, then they are in trouble. They really are in trouble going into the season. How are they going to sustain a title challenge if they can't even win at their home ground? Is a problem. I would be shocked if we're here on like September the 1st and Spurs haven't brought in a big money signing. They need something. They need a bit of excitement. They need a bit of positivity. And, I think that it's going to get better over the next 3 games. But at the minute, you look at Spurs, you're just like, I'm never excited by Spurs, but from a neutral point of view, you look at them like, last season and the season prior to that one, they were exciting to watch, and they had something really good about them. It was their mental. I think Spurs is a mental edge. Us finishing second in 15-16, and last season, not being able to catch up to Chelsea and losing to West Ham. It's like they have this they've got the physicality to do it and win the Premier League title. They've got a team capable enough to win the Premier League, but they just have this mental jarring on them, which just stops them from taking that next step to be champions. And Wembley seems to be just this mental facade that they can't seem to break. So, yeah, their next home game, they've got 2 away games in the next 3 fixtures. They're up against Swansea at Wembley, and then they've got an away game at Goodison Park and at the London Stadium. So against Everton, I think they will win just. It's going to be a tight game, but I think they're going to win by 2-1. And I think against Swansea, it will be their first win at Wembley of the new campaign. I think 3-1 will do them quite well. I think Swansea will put pressure on Spurs, and I think they will get a goal, but Spurs will just go through the motions. And I wouldn't be surprised if they draw or even lose to Swansea, but I can't see them. If they lose at home to Swansea and their 3rd game at Wembley they lose, and to Swansea City, things are not going to be good, and they're probably going to be wished they're back in the lane. And maybe they can play on that construction site, get the tenants round, and they should be able to do that. But then they will go away from home at the London Stadium, and they will get another comfortable 3-1 win, which will take them up to 13 points, and they're going to be 5 points off of Manchester United. And again, they're going to be up there, and I think if they can get 9 points from 9 in the next 3 fixtures, they're going to be in good stead, really. Losing 1 game and drawing 1 game, and if they can win 4, it's a decent start. It's a decent start from Spurs. A shame to see, but it'd be interesting to see if they bring in any new players. So next, we're going on to Everton, who I think is going to be the surprise package of the season. And so far, signs are good. The players they brought in, Ronald Koeman, I think is an exceptional manager, and I think he should be at a massive club one day. I would love to see him at Arsenal. I really do. I think he'd do a great job at Arsenal. But the players he's brought in, Jordan Pickford, Michael Keane, Wayne Rooney, Gylfi Sigurdsson has finally become an Everton player, scored an absolute worldie on his European debut for them. Absolutely phenomenal goal. But yeah, they started the season well. Wayne Rooney, I said he's going to be so influential for Everton, coming back and scoring on his debut, on his return to Merseyside. It was great to see, I think, from every neutral fan who likes Wayne Rooney, and lots of people do like Wayne Rooney. He's a great player, and you're looking at that and you're thinking, what a top guy to return to his home club and to score the winning goal, more importantly, is a great achievement. Against Manchester City, I think it's been their best performance of the season so far, a 1-1 draw. Wayne Rooney again getting on the score sheet, and they could have won that game. They had a couple of decent chances. They rode their luck in times during the game, but obviously against Chelsea, it wasn't the best, losing 2-0, but I think Chelsea just did a demolition job on them. Got 2 goals, shut up shop. Everton didn't really look like scoring or having any kind of chance, really. So it's kind of been 3 very, very different games, but it's positive. The signs are positive. Now, unfortunately for Everton, they're going to have moments where they're going to come unstuck, and for me, they they've got 3 very, very tough games. I think going forward, they're good. I don't know if Rooney can get as many goals as he's thinking, but they could get goals from Sigurdsson. It depends also whether Ross Barkley, is he going to be leaving? Is he going to go to Chelsea? It looks like he's not in Ronald Koeman's plans. So it'll be interesting to see whether he stays. But they could get goals from many different areas. And also, they've got players injured. Balassi, when he comes back into the side. So, I don't think goals are going to be necessarily a problem. But defensively, no matter how well they've strengthened him, like Jordan Pickford, Michael Keane, when they come up against the big boys, it's going to be a struggle. And if they can get, maybe, 50% of wins or draws against the big boys, or maybe 60-40, then they've got a great chance of getting into that top 7. And I think Ronald Koeman wants to get, he got 7th last year. I think he'd be happy to try and get one better, 6th, maybe 5th. It's going to be very hard to break into that top 6. But, Everton have got a great chance. But after 6 games, they're not going to be in the best position, but they've got some easy games after this next run, so they should have no problem. But they've got Spurs at home, Manchester United away, and then Bournemouth at home. So I think they're going to suffer back-to-back defeats. I said Spurs will beat them 2-1, and I stand by that, although I think it will be a close game, as it will at Manchester United. I think Everton will cause both Tottenham and Manchester United problems, but I think they just won't have enough to get a draw or get over the line. And, it means that they're going to have back-to-back defeats, which is not going to be great. But if you think about it, they've played Chelsea, they're going to play Spurs and Manchester United after their first 6 games. They're going to have only Liverpool, Arsenal, and, it's standing in their way. They've already played Manchester City as well, and they got a draw out of that. So Liverpool and Arsenal are really going to be the only 2 teams that really could cause them problems. Maybe just Liverpool, to be fair. So they're going to get all of these big teams out of the way. It means that they can have a good, clear run going into Christmas, and I think that's exactly what they need. Bournemouth at home is probably going to be the game where they can salvage something from September, a 2-0 win. The problem will be if they lose to Bournemouth at home, because if confidence is just at an all-time low, because they've lost back-to-back games, which I think they will do, and Bournemouth turn up and cause them problems, then it's not going to be a very good first 2 months, well, because that means they'll be sitting on 4 points, and they would have lost 4 games in succession. So I think they're going to go on a run of losing 3 games in a row, but that Bournemouth game is quite a big game when you consider Everton's first 2 months. But I see them comfortably winning by 2 goals. They will put them on 7 points. They'll be 11 points off the top of the pace of Manchester United. But then they've got a clear run of games. I think they play Liverpool either at the end of October or November. Arsenal, I think, is in October as well. So, November and their Christmas is going to have a clear run of games. So it means that they can get points back on the board and scope their way up the Premier League table, which I imagine they will do so. But under Ronald Koeman as manager, they're in very, very safe hands, and I think they would be absolutely fine. I think they're going to do well this season, and I think so far the sides are promising. Yes, they're going to go on a little bit of a bad run, but I'm very, very confident that they're going to have a very good season, particularly with Wayne Rooney at the helm, banging in the goals, and it's lovely to see, really. So that's kind of like the big teams, really. I wouldn't necessarily say big teams, but there's some other teams, really, that have kind of impressed me and have really not impressed me. So I'm going to be discussing my highs and lows teams, which is something we're going to be doing at the kind of towards the end of every episode of Living in the Prem. My high teams so far, well, I've really got only one this month, really, particularly when it comes to transfers, and that is West Brom, because man, oh man, Tony Pulis. Is this the same Tony Pulis we've come to know? He has been on fire recently. Jay Rodriguez, Gareth Barry, Kieran Gibbs, and Krajowiak is absolutely insane. I mean, they're going to have a very, very strong team. Think of the players that they've already got and how well organised and drilled Tony Pulis' sides are. They're going to be in good shape, really. And one of my mates, Christopher O'Brien, I'll give him a shout out now. He said to me today that he's going to put a cheeky bet on that West Brom will get into the top 8. I think they could easily get 8th or 7th. I think another great season for West Brom. But Krajowiak, an absolutely sensational signing, even if it's on loan. Kieran Gibbs gives them more authority down the left back position, although I do think he's He's not great, but I think he is West Brom level, and that is no disrespect to West Brom. Gareth Barry as well has got a lot of experience, a lot of Premier League credentials, and his credibility in the Premier League is brilliant. So, they've signed some very, very good players. With a day left to go, they still want more. So, I think they're going to be very, very good. And also Swansea potentially today are looking to bring Renato Sanchez to the Premier League. Firstly, a joy for FIFA. But secondly, that is a great signing for Swansea, who don't look very good at the minute. And I'll tell you in Bagpuss bets why I exactly think Swansea are not in the best position. But they need, someone like that, a creator, a playmaker, someone with a bit of stature, and someone that has got a big name. He's such a promising talent, and he's an exceptional player. So I think, Renato Sanchez to Swansea and the transfers that West Brom bring in, they're my highs. There's only one low this week in my highs and lows, and that is poor old Crystal Palace. Oh, Frank de Boer, what have you done? He's trying to play free-flowing, attacking, passing football, and, it's like teaching, teaching a 6-year-old to not jump in the ball pit when he sees the ball pit, far ahead of him. You're not going to do it. You're really not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. Palace are not a passing team. They're a team that was perfect for Big Sam. Nasty to play against, will get up in your face. They'll play, with an aerial presence up top. And they'll be nasty. They will cause you, some problems, and they've got pace down the wings. But the way Frank de Boer is trying to get them to play, it's just not going to work, buddy. And I don't see this ending well. I can see him, leaving. When he arrived at Crystal Palace, I was like, oh, that's a decent signing, actually. I think he will do quite well for at Crystal Palace. But now looking at them, I'm just like, you're trying to teach someone that is unteachable. You can't teach Crystal Palace to play in the way that you want them to play. And you've had all summer to do it, and you're still not getting it right. I mean, you were embarrassed against Huddersfield, who've also been one of my highest. Huddersfield have just lit up the Premier League, and this is why this is the best league in the world, because it's just stuff like this, unexpected stuff. To have 7 points after 3 games is just absolutely incredible. They're second in the Premier, third, in the Premier League, and they're on cloud bloody nine, and so they should be. They should be living it up. They should be loving life at the minute. But they embarrassed Crystal Palace. They make them look weak. They make them look spineless. Frank de Boer is trying to play Crystal Palace a way that they're not going to play, and you just can't do that. And it is quite embarrassing, actually. I'm not, things are not looking good for Crystal Palace right now. And, they're at a stage where, it's not looking good whatsoever. So, my highs, Crystal Palace are my lows. My highs are West Brom, Swansea and Huddersfield. My low being Crystal Palace. They are in absolute disarray. Now, let's get on to rounding off the video and briefly discuss deadline day before we end the video with Bagpuss bets. So, of the day that you're seeing this, today is transfer deadline day, and there's 2 major stories that I would say is at the forefront. Coutinho and Alexis Sanchez. Now, I briefly said that we were going on to Coutinho, and if I was Jurgen Klopp and if I was Liverpool, Barcelona have put in 4-5 bids in for Coutinho, the latest one being up to 140 million. And if I was Liverpool right now, sell him. I'm sorry to say, Liverpool fans, get rid of him. He's had in a transfer request. He clearly doesn't want to play at Liverpool anymore. Why are you kind of prolonging this kind of mess, really? Get rid of Coutinho. His dream is to play at Barcelona. Let him go. I mean, you've got Salah. You've got Firmino, Mane. Potentially Oxlade-Chamberlain coming in. Emre Can. Is Coutinho actually going to get into the side? That's the better question. And the answer is right now, no, he's not going to get into the side. Liverpool have not had any problems going forward. And I've loved seeing Coutinho in the Premier League. He's an absolutely tremendous player, got a wicked left foot. And he's given Liverpool a lot of success, to be fair, over the last couple of years. And he's been one of their top players. But when you've got a player that's handing in a transfer request and has made it quite clear that he doesn't want to be at your club anymore, you've got to weigh up the pros and the cons. Yes, losing Coutinho, you're losing a player of that quality, but you've got many players around him who are probably just as good, if not even better than him at this particular moment. I mean, you've got Mane and Salah who are just causing Premier League defences so many problems. You know, you've got Firmino up top who's getting goals. You know, do you actually need Coutinho right now? And if you cash in and get 140, 150 million for him, and, you know, then next summer you could bring like a world-class striker. If I was Jurgen Klopp, this would be my plan. So I would get rid of Coutinho today. Well, I recorded this on the 30th, but, you know, on deadline day, get rid of him. You know, say to Barcelona, you know, even make a personal call to them, say 145 million and Coutinho's yours, and you can have him today. Get the money, take the money in, and next summer, launch to try and get Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. You think you've got Salah, Mane, Aubameyang up front, Emre Can, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, you know, Robertson. Maybe get yourself another centre-back. Maybe put like an 85, 90 million pound bid for Aubameyang, and then get yourself, if you get Van Dijk this summer, maybe get yourself someone like, I don't know, Koulibaly next season. That team will win the Premier League or win something huge where you've got like 3 electric players, you've got a stonewall defence. You know, I can't see Coutinho in Liverpool's plans, and I think that is what you've got to weigh up, Liverpool fans. Yes, you're losing a great player, but think of, there are players out there that you can get, and I think Aubameyang will come to Liverpool if you put a massive offer on the table. You know, Dortmund will happily accept 85, 90 million. You've got Keita coming in next season as well. If you don't win the Premier League this season, you've got a 90% chance of winning it next season. And Coutinho's not happy at Liverpool. He doesn't want to play for Liverpool anymore. And for me just saying that, there are more pros than cons to get rid of him. And that, to me, suggests that you should get rid of him. And I'd be shocked if he doesn't go to Barcelona, because you're just going to have an unhappy player, and then you start questioning, oh, is he going to put 110%? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? And it's a problem. It's a problem that I think, as a Liverpool fan and as Liverpool Football Club, it's a problem that you do not want on your doorstep. And I would easily say to myself, yeah, get rid of him finally. And I credit Liverpool. I praise Liverpool for the fact of how adamant they've been in, you know, ensuring that he doesn't leave. But, you know, as soon as he handed in that transfer request on the 11th of August, I was like, yeah, you need to go, Coutinho, and I'm surprised that he's not already at Barcelona. You know, they've got Dembele, Suarez, Messi. You have Coutinho in behind, and Barcelona will just eat your hand off for that. So I think, yeah, 145 million, I mean, it's astronomical money, it's ridiculous money, and this transfer window of money, like 200 million for Neymar, you know, 85 million for Lukaku, you know, 70 million for Morata, 50 million for Lacazette, you know, 70 million for Keita. It's incredible money being spent, but as we're in a window where it seems like it's socially acceptable to spend astronomical amounts of money, do it, take full advantage of it, and you'll be able to get yourself 2 world-class players, because Liverpool are not far off being true title contenders, and they need to do something like this, in my opinion. And if I was Liverpool, get rid of Philippe Coutinho for me. Now, Alexis Sanchez is a little bit of a different story, because Arsene Wenger has said all season that he's not going to go, and he's not going to go to Manchester City. He said that about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, that Oxlade-Chamberlain isn't going to leave, and it looks like Oxlade-Chamberlain is on the verge of joining Liverpool. But you can't sell him to Manchester City, you really can't. Now, the deal and the reports that have come through in the last couple of days is that Alexis Sanchez will go to Manchester City for 50 million, and we will get Raheem Sterling. Well, Manchester City said they don't want to sell Raheem Sterling. I do rate Raheem Sterling, to be fair. I mean, yes, he's not been brilliant over the last couple of years, but he's got the potential to become a world-class player. And we have so many of them in our team, but I think Sterling, at this particular moment, you're not going to get anyone better than Alexis Sanchez. So Sterling is, I mean, he's not great, but at least he's something. But you can't sell him to Manchester City. But the question is, where else is he going to go? Manchester City look to be the leading favourites. PSG have spent all the money that they're going to spend over this window. Barcelona won't want him, neither do Real Madrid. Bayern Munich have ended their kind of interest in him weeks ago. Chelsea are not going to get him. So it's just sent into a Premier League rival. We saw what happened with Robin Van Persie, and if Sanchez goes to Manchester City and they win the Premier League, just Arsene Wenger's name's already in tatters. It will be in ruins, and it will be the final now. But I sympathise with Arsene Wenger to a certain extent, because it's such a tough decision. You know, where else is he going to go? And you've also got the problem that if Sanchez stays, you've got a player that might not put 110% in, but I think Sanchez is the kind of player that will be a professional and will do that. But, then he leaves for free and you lose 50 million, and Arsenal are all about making money. Do they want to take that gamble? Do they want to lose money? Hell no. And I don't blame Alexis Sanchez either for leaving. For once, I don't actually blame him. I'll blame Arsene Wenger for letting him go to Manchester City, but he wants to leave Arsenal because we're a part of dog shit, basically, at the minute. We're awful. We're an awful club at the minute. And I don't like Oxlade-Chamberlain for the way that he thinks he's better than he actually is. Then again, I'm only saying that because he's left. But Alexis Sanchez is world class. You can't deny that. You can't take that away from him. So it's going to be a very interesting 24 hours. By the time this gets uploaded, Sanchez and Coutinho might already be gone. But it's a tough decision. And if you weigh up the pros and you weigh up the cons for Alexis Sanchez to move, I think both are just as bad as each other. It's a really tough decision to be in. It's a poison chalice at Arsenal, really. It really is. It's horrendous right now. But I don't know. I think Coutinho, definitely get rid of him. Sanchez is a bit more of a... It's a decision that is a very different one to Coutinho, and it's a very difficult one because you're selling to a direct rival. Coutinho's going to Barcelona. He's not going to affect Liverpool, maybe in the Champions League, but you've got a slight chance. It's not 100% concrete that you're going to play him in the Champions League. It's a 100% concrete chance that we're going to play Manchester City in the Premier League. So I don't know. I think Arsenal have, and in terms of their transfer business, it's been an absolute mess so far. But I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting deadline day. Those are the two players that we've got to look out for, Coutinho and Alexis Sanchez. Whether they're going to be where they want to be at the end of the transfer window come 11 o'clock tonight, your guess is as good as mine. So it's time now for Bagpuss Bets. Now this is a segment that I do at the end of every episode of Living in the Prem, where I give you my bets for champions and the 3 teams to be relegated at the end of the season. And this all hinges on what I've seen so far and initial predictions that I've taken in mind. So at the start of the season, I said the champions would be Manchester United, and I'm sticking with that, not just what I've seen in the first 3 games, but because of what I believe that Jose Mourinho will do, and also the fact that I just feel like Manchester United are just going to be an absolute force this season. I said it at the start of the season, and I'm not changing my mind on that one. So yeah, I just believe that Manchester United will be lifting the Premier League title at the end of the campaign. That won't change if Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool kind of get a 10, 15 point lead like we saw last season, where you just knew that they aren't going to be caught, and that is when my prediction will change. But at this particular moment, I'm sticking with Manchester United to be Premier League champions. Now, I said in my Premier League predictions 2017-2018, if you want to check the full Premier League predictions out, I'll leave a link to it in the description. I said that Huddersfield, Watford and Swansea will all be relegated. Now, Swansea stay in my relegation pick. I just don't think they're going to have enough about them. I don't think that they will have to have the fight. I don't think they're going to sustain a survival challenge. And I think after kind of a few years in the Premier League, their luck, just like we saw with Sunderland last season, their luck will be out. But I've got 2 new teams joining them who I think, looking at what has happened so far, and just because I feel like things are just not going to go well and just going to steamroll down, and that is Crystal Palace. And this is a very controversial one. I'm not too sure about this one, but I feel like Watford now with Marco Silva, I can't see Marco Silva getting Watford relegated. He got Hull City relegated because he joined too late, and if he joined sooner, I think he would have kept them up, and I can't see him getting Watford relegated. And I think West Ham are actually in danger of slipping out. They were last season. They got their act together, but what I've seen so far, they have been awful. They really have been awful. They were unlucky, very unlucky against Southampton not to get something out of the game. They really were unlucky. But they just haven't got anything about them at the minute. And I think Slaven Bilic, his days are numbered. Really, they are really, really numbered. But I feel like West Ham are just going to have a slippery slope and fall down the pecking order, and I'm not sure. I'm really, really not sure. But yeah, those are my Bagpuss bets. Manchester United to win the Premier League title, and Swansea, Crystal Palace, West Ham to be relegated. That all can change. It'll be interesting to see what my Bagpuss bets are in September. Now, there are a number of ways that you can bet and make a little bit of dough on the Premier League football, and that is using the Sky Sports Super 6 app, going on to Sky Sports Fantasy Football using Sky Bet, You could go on the Core app. There's loads of betting sites. There's lots of stuff of you to make bets on football and also to have fun and making predictions and trying to make a bit of money onto that. I'll leave all of them down in the description below. Remember, you must be 18 or over to play. But it's a really interesting and an interesting time. If you know a lot about football and you think you know a lot about football, you can make a little bit of money from that. But that is the end of the first Living in the Prem. Now, I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please give me some feedback. Tell me if you want me to make it shorter, like a 10 to 15 minute show or something like this, a long kind of hour-long show of me doing basically a Premier League podcast. Or if you want to see me have like a guest on, tell me anything positive or negative, please leave it down in the comment section below. Feel free to tweet me on any feedback for the series and any of your Premier League thoughts. My Twitter is at DJBagpuss1998. Use the hashtag Living in the Prem as well. Thank you so much for watching. I've got a really dry mouth, so I'm going to get plenty of water as soon as I finish recording this. Leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I shall see you next time. This is DJ Bagpuss signing out, and hopefully you look forward to September in the Premier League. I'm going to leave you with the Premier League table for now. And I shall see you soon. Take care. See you later. Thank you so much for watching.